Good afternoon. Today is Monday, Monday the 27th, I think, of March or 28th. Uh, so it's a lovely morning, and I've had a lovely walk. I've had a nice walk this morning, and was able to do my usual prayers. I use when I'm walking. I use it for to develop. Just say the Rosary and the Chaplet of Mercy and that type of thing. And so these are things that I use in my free time, or if I'm driving, I use that. So we're talking about going to work uh, from the point of view of people using their cars, perhaps living in commuting distance, living in the country. For example, if they're living in the Cavan area, there's no train service from that area. There are train services on the east coast from commuter trains from Marklow and from Dundalk every day, and from Mullingar. There's trains, commuter trains, and but unfortunately there isn't one from Cavan, and there's no train services even in Navan, which apparently there should be, and there was. But this government doing a lot of other things are kind of nearly unnecessary. For example, paying billions for a hospital but the worst site that you could pick off in James Street in Dublin. And instead of doing things for the public that need train services, because that's the best way to travel. Buses have the bus lane, and that's a good way to travel if you're in Dublin, because you'll be able to get quicker in a bus than you would in a car, because cars then have to have a narrow part of the road, and bringing a car into Dublin is a major hazard because you can't go through the city. Many areas kind of near enough blocked off, so it's a nightmare. And actually, the Green Party is trying to discourage that. So, but I'm talking about people driving from the like of Enfield in County Meath, for example, and maybe a little further on down, which is used as a computer town. There's a lot of houses there now that was never there before in that place. And then in Cavan and King's Court, and then those other places, there's no train service, and a very not a very constant bus service. It's limited. From Navan, there's a better bus service, the NX, and people can sometimes probably park their car and get the bus because it does have a bus lane, but it's gone up in the motorway. So if you're going to work to be at work at 9 o'clock or something like that, you're in trouble there. So, but the people that are driving are often have a bit of a stress. So, I suggest them to get up a little earlier, and as they're driving to work, don't start listening to the radio and all the bad news that you hear in that. Try and, for example, bless yourself as you're starting out. And try and say a few prayers on your travels. I often say the rosary, but if there's too much traffic right and left of me, it's probably not a good thing to do because you've got to watch the road. But you can watch the road and still say a few prayers before you get into the thick of the traffic. I know when I was traveling there with my late wife when she had to go to hospital in the Mater Hospital in Phibsborough. It was often a fairly stressful time going on the car because, like, of the amount of traffic, especially if to go early, and they often had times that really was not suitable because of the amount of traffic. And I just found it stressful, to be honest about it. And yet I was retired, and I wasn't under the pressure of trying to go to work and be there on time, especially if I left it a bit short, would say. So I'm suggesting that in order to help you, try and listen to something on the radio that's uplifting, that's not to do with news, that there's a spiritual element to it. So it's to nourish your soul. Because whether you are a Catholic or a Christian from some other denomination, or a person that was a Catholic and is not bothered, you do have to nourish your soul because the secular world and the world that you kind of think that this is the only world. There is eternity stretching out forever. So you don't know all the answers. So take it that there is a place like heaven, a place like purgatory, a place like hell. So try and choose the proper one. And so say your prayers, say a few prayers as you're traveling in the car, and have some little holy thing in the car by way of a scapular or whatever it is, and do that type of thing, and put on some program like Spirit Radio or some other program of that caliber, even EWTN radio. I don't know. I think it can be got, and things like that. And so at least you won't. You'll have something that will nourish your soul, because there's no point in getting too stressed about the amount of traffic and whether you about parking and where you park. It's often advisable to park somewhere where you can get the bus or get a lure or get something that you can travel. So when you do go wherever you go, you might have to pay a fortune for parking. So your stress is putting you on all sides. So you've got to examine those type of things and see what way you can do it without giving yourself too much stress. I noticed on the N3 and the M4 the amount of traffic, especially in the morning if you're going, or even any time. It's just what I call stressful. We didn't have it when I was young. You had traffic, but College Street was a wide street and you could go up and down it in a car. But now you can't go anywhere in Dublin. Dublin is nearly, I don't know how anybody can live in it and go anywhere, because I know when I lived in Dublin and in Bray and places like that, myself and my wife used to go to Dalkey and have a good walk and all the rest of it. And then when we were going home, we might have a meal out as well, treat ourselves, because you've only one life sometimes. And anyway, when we'd be going home, we were living out in Bray and then later on near Greystones, between Kilkenny and Greystones. And we were going out, the amount of traffic coming along after being down and perhaps in Rosslare or British Bay and that, it was just chock-a-block, especially in the summer. So those poor devils were going down to these places and getting to the seaside in a bit of fresh air and maybe in for a swim if that's what I'd be doing if I was down there, even at my age, I'd get in for a swim if I'm near the sea. Salt water is good for you. So, but at the same time, I remember that the poor devils coming back from after being down there with their families and just in traffic jams. It was Sunday, a nice Sunday, say around 5, half 5 or something. We were going home for our tea. And no traffic the way we were going, and no traffic when we were coming the other way. They were all going the other way. So if you time your work or time whatever it is, so that they're all going one way and you're going away, there's not much traffic. But in Dublin, I think traffic is going both ways, and I don't know how anybody can survive on that M50. I mean, there's traffic and lorries and different knows what. You want to be a saint. You could meet your maker shocking quick if you took your eye off on them. And you sort of, if there's an accident on that, it holds up everything for miles. So, anyways, I'm suggesting this for people that are walking in Dublin and having to drive, to ponder and say a few prayers as they're driving. They wouldn't be able to say the rosary because of the amount of traffic, but say a few prayers and have some program on that's uplifting, not about the news and all the negative rubbish that comes out in it. You can do without it. You'll have enough hassle in your work or wherever you happen to be. We don't know what sort of old bosses you might have. The main thing is that they should have a respect for every employee and vice versa. But that's an ideal world and it doesn't happen. You often have to deal with problems and difficult people. And let's hope that in your home life it's good and helpful and nourishing. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes people make mistakes with their partners and so on and so forth, and vice versa. So there's often sorts of problems and crosses. But funny enough, as you go through life, whether you know it or not, you're going to have crosses. You can't escape them. So the best thing is to nourish your soul along with your body and be friendly with people and respect people. you'll know peace and joy and bear no grudges. Even if you're driving and you have problems, with the way other people drive in and out and all the rest of it. And try and use public transport. You'll have more peace of mind if you do. Just a suggestion. But if you can't avail of the public transport and you have to use the car, well and good. It's a pretty more important business. It's not decentralised, because Dublin is a no-go area, in my opinion. It's just too much traffic and too much restrictions and all the rest of it. You're liable to be summoned right, left, and centre. And if you do anything, if you park somewhere and you're a little bit over the time, next thing your car is clamped. So there's all sorts of restrictions. So I'm suggesting that you weigh up the pros and cons and suit yourself. Try and use public transport. You'll have less hassle. You have no time to meditate. I notice on public transport, one of the sad things I notice is a lot of young people, not so much older people, but even some other ones that you'd be surprised. They're all on their phone. They're not communicating with anyone. This is what they're using. Get rid of that phone. Just use it for to make phone calls or this, that, or the other. Don't see the young people. They're on it the whole time. They should never be allowed to have these things until they're about 18, and even then be advised not to use them so constant. They're only there to contact people. They're not there to get information all the time. So weigh up what you're at and the life that you're at, and try and lead a good life. It'll do you good, and you'll be whistling. So I thank you for, and I hope I didn't overdo things talking. I have a habit of doing that, but I'm trying to help people, because I got some help myself when I was at the same racket as you might be at. So I understand what you're at. So thank you, and I'll finish off in the usual way, which is in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Keep all my friends and all those people that I'm hoping that can hear me, and that they will take heed of what I've said. It'll do them good. It won't do them harm. That's the main thing. Whatever anybody says to you, if it's for your good, good. But if it's for evil, don't believe it. This government has inflicted a lot of things on people in this country instead of doing good for them and providing a train service to Cavan so that people can commute. That's what they need to do. Stop running around at other hour, whatever they're at. Okay, so I won't say too more. God bless and have a nice day.